Welcome everybody to another episode of the Keeping Score podcast presented by Corwin Motors here in Kalispell. This week in the Valley, some big wins over the weekend for Columbia Falls and Whitefish. Bigfork has a rough week, and another weekend of soccer playoffs takes place this Saturday. And as always, I will break down football matchups from last week as well as what to expect for this week's games. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Over the weekend in the Valley, both Whitefish and Columbia Falls won their quarterfinals matchups to advance in the playoffs for their respective boys and girls teams. Whitefish boys won their matchup against Lone Peak 3-1, with goals from Kyler Johnson, Preston McPherson, and Jack Olerick. With the win, the boys team advanced to the semifinals Saturday at Stevensville. The Whitefish girls prevailed over Hamilton with a 1-0 win on the goal from Charlize Ulrich. The girls team will head to Laurel for their semifinal matchup as well on Saturday. At Columbia Falls, the boys won over Polson 3-0 with goals from Bruno Vasquez, Jackson Scholes, and Maxwell Everett. The girls team won their matchup with Missoula Loyola with a whopping 10-0 score. The star of this game was Annika Lawrence, who scored 5 goals and was named this week's Poster Player of the Week. Both teams will head to Billings Central for the semifinals matchups on Saturday. It wasn't the best of week for Bigfork as Laurel knocked them out of the playoffs with the 3-0 win, a year after Bigfork ended Laurel's season. And football, a game with some pretty heavy playoff implications, did not go in Bigfork's favor. So let's get into this week's edition of the Valley Football Recap. In a big Class A matchup, 5-2 Bigfork headed to Columbia Falls to take on the 4-2 Wildkats, and this game was all Columbia Falls. Columbia Falls forced 7 turnovers, 6 of them for interceptions, as they picked up their 5th win of the season, 43-14. Ethan Brooks had 3 interceptions, and Cooper Ross caught 2 touchdown passes, including a highlight, one-handed 45-yard touchdown grab. Here's what quarterback Banyan Johnson had to say about the performances from Brooks and Ross.
Gives me a lot of confidence. I feel like I can throw any ball up and they'll come down with it. So it's pretty nice to have that luxury at the outside receiver.
Whitefish won their home matchup against Polson 38-10 to improve to 5-3 on the season. Quarterback Carson Golick was very efficient, going 15 of 18 for 172 yards with 3 touchdowns in the win. At Glacier, the Wolfpack won 35-7 over Big Sky with impressive performances from quarterback Jackson Presley and running back Kobe Dorchis. Presley threw for 337 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Dorchis ran for 196 yards and a touchdown for the Wolfpack to pick up their 7th win of the season. Looking ahead to this week, Flathead returns off their bye week to face Missoula Hellgate at home, with both teams searching for their first win of the season. Glacier heads on the road to play 4-4 Missoula Sentinel on Thursday. For the Class A matchups, Columbia Falls faces 4-4 Ronan, and Whitefish heads to Browning to take on the 2-6 Indians. Both games are Friday night. Bigfork is on a bye this week. That should do it for this week's Keeping Score podcast. Thank you to our sponsor, Corwin Motors, and good luck to the soccer teams in their semifinals matchups this Saturday. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all next week on another edition of the Keeping Score podcast. Thanks to Corwin Motors for sponsoring the Keeping Score podcast. At Corwin Motors, they're proud to be family-driven for over 100 years. Their commitment goes beyond selling cars. They're dedicated to serving our community and providing you with the highest quality vehicles to fit your lifestyle. Whether you're searching for reliability, style, or comfort, they got you covered. They understand that you rely on their website for accurate and up-to-date information, and it's their promise to deliver relevant, detailed content that meets your needs. So if you're in the market for a new Chevrolet or just want to learn more, visit CorwinMotorsKalispell.com.